Hi, I'm Axel from the Scheduler team, and I'm going to walk you through the setup and installation of the scheduler. It might look a little bit daunting when you first go in and see the settings module has a bunch of settings for workflow, but we're going to break it down on the most simplistic approach on how you can set up the scheduler for your organization. We're going to start off from a blank Zoho organization, pretty much blank with default data, and we're going to move on to configuring the required fields for the scheduler, and we're going to process a booking live. In the case of this example, we're going to process a booking from the leads module over to the sales or deals module. And that's going to be just an example workflow where you can see how the appointment originates or how the request for an appointment originates from the leads module and how it gets converted in the deals module as an actual appointment with all the information that's relevant. So let's jump straight into Zoho, and we've got a sample CRM with the leads module here, and you can see within the sample lead, I've made sure it's a UK postcode. I've done that in advance because otherwise it won't work. The scheduler at the moment only works for the UK. So we're going to go off the CRM and onto the website of the scheduler and set this up from scratch. So we'll go start scheduling in Zoho CRM. We'll put in our email, our sample email for this workflow. It realizes that we've not signed in before, so we need an admin to sign in. So we sign in as a Zoho administrator, and that will prompt us to go to Zoho and enter the administrator credentials for this account. Following this, we'll grant the permissions required. This is only required one time. When your users sign in using the application, users will not be seeing this screen. They'll just see the login link and they'll go to the email to click on the link to sign in. Start your trial and boom, we're in. Go to settings, and this is where we are when we first open the application for the first time. What is required? What do we need to do before we start our first workflow? We need to have specific fields in our CRM. It might be that you already have these fields. It might be that we need to add them. So we need appointment start. What's the date time of the appointment starting? Appointment end. What is the date time of the appointments finishing? When do the appointments finish? We need a field agent field. That's a user lookup. We need a source record ID. So this is normally just a text field, a string field, where it's in the destination module, and we track where the booking came from. And this is used for calendar invites, acceptances, and just tracking the from and the to from your source module and the destination module. And the next thing we need to do is within the meetings module, we need to have a drop-down status added, a drop-down field added called current status. And then we need 3 values within that drop-down. We need meeting, pending, which could be your default. This is a flexible one. You can do whatever you want here. It's just whatever you want the default field to be. But then these are non-negotiable. You need to have invite accepted, spelled like this, and we need to have time block. The reason we need these two is because whenever you process a booking, a calendar invite goes out to the customer, which, by the way, you can fully customize. That calendar invite contains an acceptance button that when they click on it, it takes them to a page saying, thank you, you've accepted, which, by the way, you can customize as well. But it also processes an update on the CRM to update the meeting status to invite accepted. So when you're on your meetings page, you can see all the invites that have accepted and the ones that haven't. So it's really convenient for that. By the way, this feature can be disabled if you don't want it, and if you're not using the invites and meetings and things like that, you don't need to process these fields. The top ones you do, but the meetings module one you don't. Time block, in the same principle, you can use it or you can't, up to you. Time block allows you to block out time on field agents' diaries. So let's say there's a field agent that is off sick, or they're on holiday, or they can't work for a particular amount of time, so they're off the field. You can block out their time on Zoho CRM by adding a meeting in where they are the host, with the status of the meeting being time block. And then the scheduler app will just ignore, it will block out the slots for this particular field agent. And that's it. So let's go through and set this up. The first one is appointment start. So I'll jump over back to the CRM, and we'll see if we have an appointment start within our destination module. So this is destination module, which in our case will be deals. So let's go to the deals module, and we'll need an appointment start and appointment end. So I'll go into one of the sample records and check and see if we have these fields. So appointment start is likely we're not going to have it. We have a closing date, but let's make sure we have date time fields that relate to this. So we're just going to edit this view and add these required fields. So we're going to go here, edit page layout, really straightforward, and we're going to add a date time field called appointment start. And then we're going to add another one for appointment end. The names of these fields don't matter. because you're going to map them later. You're going to see what I mean in a second. And then we need a single line field or a text field called source record ID, which, by the way, the name doesn't matter. You're going to map it later. So for the meetings drop-down status, the name does matter, but for this, it doesn't. Confirm that we have everything we need here. We have appointment start, appointment end, field agent. Field agent could be the deal owner, something we could do, or we can have a separate field for the field agent. Let's do a user lookup user field. We called it field agent. Field agent, and done. So we'll save these settings now. Let's add these meetings statuses as well. So we're going to go back to the meetings module now, and meetings, and we're going to edit the standard view, and we're going to add these this current status dropdown. So it's going to be a dropdown field, so pick list. I'm going to say current status, and we're going to call it pending, which can be anything you want, which is the default one, pending, and then we're going to say invite accepted. And the next one is just time block. Okay, so we'll save this, and now we're going to go back to the scheduler app, and we're going to synchronize these fields. It's important to synchronize whenever you make changes in the CRM, because the scheduler reads any new data that you've passed through, and it allows you to configure it on the application. So we're going to say sync CRM fields, and then we're going to go and create our first workflow. On to the left menu bar, you got workflows. Create your first workflow, and we're going to call it demo workflow. The source module will be leads, and the destination module will be deals. Next, we're taken to the workflow overview section, which gives you the option to expand it, and we're going to go to the mapping is the first thing we need to do. Mapping tells you, or tells the scheduler app where you want data going to and where you want data coming from. So we're going to go to field mapping as the first section. You have a number of fields that are non-negotiable. You have to map these, and these are fields the application requires to function. So the booking agent in the source module, we're going to call this the person that's booking the appointment. Let's say the lead owner is the person booking the appointment. The street will normally be the street default field, city, and postcode. If you have custom fields for these, you can use them. Customer email, we're going to use the field agent in the destination module as the one we created called field agent. Appointment start and appointment end. Then we've got the source record ID, and then we've got the destination street in the destination module. We don't have a street field. That's because we're using the deals module. So let's add this quickly in the deals module. We need to add street, city, and postcode. Single line, street, city, and postcode. Save, and back to the application. We're going to go synchronize these fields again. Go back to field mapping, and street, city, and postcode. Great. We'll save these settings, and we'll move on. We don't really need the agent to book anything or enter any data. For this sake of this example, it's going to be pretty straightforward. People, we're going to say that Alex is the field agent. Fine, we only have one person in here, so here you have to specify who the field agent is. And time settings, we'll say 10 days in advance is fine. We don't really worry about time blocks for now. Monday to Friday is good. 10, 1, and 4 appointments is fine. And we're going to here define what are existing appointments. So if we go back to the CRM, so we can say if the stage is value proposition, for example, then that will be an existing appointment. So this one being an existing appointment, we'll need to have the data filled in. So we'll say Alex is the field agent. The postcode we're going to say is Southampton, and appointment start will be, let's say, next Monday at 4 p.m. and then the end time we'll say next Monday at 6, for example. Okay, so this will be one existing booking that we have in here for Alex, and that will be for Monday the 24th at 4 p.m. and the booking is in this location. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to the scheduler, and we're going to say the condition of existing bookings is when the stage is value proposition. If it's value proposition, then it's a booking. But in your case, it could be anything. It could be value proposition, it could be something else. It doesn't matter. what you specify existing bookings to be. Tiebreak rankings not needed. This is all these other settings. I've gone through them in a previous video. You can check this out. We don't need notifications for now. Templates, we go with the defaults. All fine. And actions, we don't really need any actions other than we don't need to notifications to admins because we haven't set up a notification system. And this is all good. This is ready now to process our first booking. So we've added our first workflow and now we're ready to test it. So in order to trigger the scheduler application, you need to add a custom button. If you've installed the application through the marketplace, it's possible you have a default button that's been added called Scheduler Workflow 1. But if you don't, and if you want to create additional workflows, you're going to need to add a button to trigger for your users to trigger that the scheduler to load up. So what we're going to do, we're going to check out the structure of the button. The best place to see it is in our documentation. And if we search for create button, and it will come up here on how to create a button within the CRM. What we need is this URL format here. So on the CRM, we're going to go to modules and fields, and we're going to add a new button by going to the module where we want to trigger the application from. In our case, it's leads. So leads, buttons, create new button. We're going to call it trigger scheduler. Define the action. We're going to invoke URL, and the page will be in record, I believe. Let's have a look. Button in record, and it'll be details. Yeah. And we can preview it to see what it's going to look like. That's perfect. That's what we want it. And then we're going to put in the URL. So in here, the URL will be scheduler.so, search, and then workflow. And then we have to put the workflow ID. So in our case, the workflow ID will be 1. Let's double check. We can double check the workflow ID by going to the workflow in question, going to general, and up here, it'll tell you the workflow ID. It's workflow ID 1. So we'll say 1, and then go back to the documentation, and then it says and record ID, and then it's the record ID within Zoho. So we copy that over. So if you type in ID, what do we got here? Lead ID. That's what we want. Leads.lead ID. We've got button action disposition. We want it in a new tab. If you want it in the same window, you could do that, but I'd recommend a new tab. And then the button availability will make it available to administrators and standard users as well. Save this, and now we're going to go back to our lead record, and we're going to refresh, and we'll see the custom button showing up here. Great. We'll trigger the scheduler now, and it will load up a new tab with the scheduler details. Now what we're doing is we're searching. The scheduler is searching the number of field agents you have, which at the moment we only have 1, but you could have many. And it's doing a drive time comparison between the postcode that you've entered as the input postcode in the record ID, which in our case is this SO14, against the postcode or locations of all the appointments you have in your diaries right now of all your field agents. And it's doing a drive time analysis to every single one of those appointments. And it's then determining which ones are within the specified drive time. And the specified drive time, by the way, is within settings already. Because when we looked at time settings, we said we want appointments to be 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 4 o'clock. And we want the appointment duration to be 120 minutes. What does that mean? It means that it leaves you a gap where you can drive. The maximum drive time is 60 minutes. If you wanted to make the appointment shorter, you could, and then the drive time increases automatically. So in this case, we specified a drive time, and I can edit this now, and this will give us more drive time. But the scheduler knows to only look at viable appointments, meaning that where the drive time between the input postcode and the existing postcodes is within that 90 minutes. And then what it does, it searches for open slots or open appointments, which could be 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, or 4 o'clock, or around those times, because you do have a deviation facility where you can book an appointment at 9:30 if the customer wants to. And it then determines if there's a slot available with it, which obviously matches the drive time because we already specified the drive time and we've got the drive time set. So in our case, we see the results of 1 p.m. on Friday, which is 4 p.m. on Friday or 10 a.m. on Monday. We had an appointment of 4 p.m. on Monday. So let's have a look if it says that. Yeah, so here we can see that we already had this demo appointment that we had in the system at 4 p.m. on Monday. So as you can see here, it's not provided 4 p.m. on Monday because there's already an appointment at 4 p.m. on Monday. This is the beauty of the scheduler. It makes it super easy to know when to book the next appointment in, because it analyzes logistically when is the best and most suitable time to put the appointment. So we're going to go for 4 p.m. on Friday. Yeah, why not? And then we're going to go, and by the way, if they wanted it later, you can go 4:15, 4:30, 4:45, or a bit earlier. I think it's within 60 minutes 60 minutes is the maximum deviation. But we'll go for 4 p.m. That's all good. And then schedule. What happens here is it's asking for a email, and it pulls this email from the CRM. Obviously, this is a demo record, so this email is invalid. But we're going to just type in a test email here. And now what's happening is that an invite is being sent to that email. And that invite contains a calendar invite and a notification to invite them to the meeting. And I'll show you what this email looks like. Here it is. This is what the email looks like from the perspective of the customer that receives the invitation. And these emails are completely customizable. You can change the text, change the format. But what's a good idea to keep in these emails is the acceptance and reschedule buttons. The acceptance button will literally take you to a website that will say, thank you, accepted. And it will allow the customer to then add these calendar events to their preferred email calendar platform if they haven't already done this from the calendar invite in the email. But when we take them back to the scheduler application, at this moment in time, the booking agent is probably still on the phone to the customer, and they're going through some details, or maybe they've ended the call at this point. But it means that the customer gets that calendar invite straight away. You can disable it if you want to, but it's there because we've found that sending the invite straight to the customer and actually asking them to accept it while they're on the phone, it works much better. It reduces the ones that end up canceling or rescheduling. So we've got the booking details here. We haven't entered any required information, so the agent doesn't have to enter any notes. Normally we would do that, and you do that under the booking agent data entry. And in this case, even if you were to do this live while your agents are on the phone, and we say, well, actually, we forgot to add the notes field. So let's just add notes. So the agent has to enter notes. We'll save this in the workflow, and we'll go back, and the agent refreshes their screen. Now they have to enter some notes. So we'll enter some notes, and we'll say, booking went well, customer is happy. For example, confirm the booking. And now in the background, the schedule application is sending API calls to the CRM to say, hey, this is a booking, process it. And what happens on the CRM side is that this is no longer a lead, because when you have a lead that turns into a deal, the CRM, Zoho CRM, has a particular way of converting those leads using mapping that we've added and the default mapping that they have, where this lead is now an account, contact, and a deal. And if you refresh this, you can see that this is no longer a lead, it's an account, contact, and deal. We go into the deal, and you can see the data that we've added. The date and time of the appointment will be there. Appointment start, appointment end, source record ID is filled in, the agent, and even the notes that were added are also here within the deal. Because we have set up the meeting, or we requested a meeting invitation to be located, now we have meeting with the agent here. And that's opening up the meeting that we've created. So the field agent in your organization can just open up the Zoho CRM app, and they'll see all their meetings that they have coming up. So this is the whole process from start to finish, from creating a workflow to processing a booking for the scheduler application. And any questions, give us a shout. We're here to help, and hope you enjoy scheduling.